Hello, I'm now going to ramble about WaveClear for approximately 10 minutes. So WaveClear comes in roughly two categories, right? There are going to be independent WaveClears and there are going to be supplementary WaveClears. And what do I mean by that? Right? So we have a couple of standards we want to meet when we're talking about clearing waves in Heroes of the Storm. And the context I'm talking about is competitive, but you can take this to your AI, your quick match, your SL, whatever, and it's going to be applicable everywhere. Right? So the first thing we want to talk about is what is a reasonable amount of time in which to clear a wave, right? And the average tends to be around 7 or 8 seconds, right? If you can clear the wave in 7 or 8 seconds, one, it doesn't expose you for as long, right? You're not standing there punching the wave over and over and over again, so the enemy team doesn't see you doing this and then immediately go, oh, he's going to be there for 10 seconds. We can kill him, right? You want to avoid that as much as humanly possible because dying tends to be bad. I hope I don't have to explain why. I'm going to run the assumption you know why. Right, so carrying on, we want to clear the wave within 7 to 8 seconds. We want to be able to grab the globe, if possible. And we want to be able to do this without blowing literally every cooldown we have, right? So people like to say, for example, Jaina has good wave clear at level 1. That depends on what kind of wave clear you want to categorize her as, right? And then we go back to our two definitions, independent and supplementary. Independent just means it can clear the wave 100% by itself, doesn't need any assistance, presses one button, does 3 auto attacks, whatever, it dies, right? Phoenix with the auto attacks, Junkrat with his Q and his AA, Tychus with his Q plus his W. If you minigun the enemy backline one by one to get that primary bonus damage, and then you chuck a grenade directly in the center of the H shape that the minion likes to make, it will immediately kill the wave. Level 1, level 30, doesn't matter. Same thing. Right? Zeratul, it doesn't matter what level you are. You go Q, you auto-attack the backline minions, you press Q again, 6 seconds later, the wave is dead. And as you're mounting up and rotating out, the melee minions should be dying to the ranged minions. Right? Doesn't really matter what you build on Zeratul, this never really changes. Right? So that's the most important thing to understand about wave clear is who are the independent wave clearers, right? Because those are heroes you generally want to have doing things by themselves, right? The offlaners, the anchors, the bot lane on Dragonshire, stuff like that. Right? And then we have supplementary wave clear. So supplementary wave clear basically just means it needs to work together with somebody else in order to clear the wave. Right, so Johanna's Condemn isn't going to clear the wave anytime soon, right? But it groups the wave so that other AoE abilities can then more easily hit the wave and get more value. Right, Kael'thas's DW plus Q doesn't perfectly clear a wave at level 1, right? But if you add that plus a Condemn, now it does, right? Or for example, the classic one is Johanna's Condemn plus Rhaegar's Lightning Shield, right? Both of them press W and both of them auto-clear the wave, pretty much from levels 1 right through 30 again, right? It's pretty much the same thing the entire time through. So when we're talking about independent wave clear specifically, and we do want to talk about independent first, because independent wave clear is A, harder to find, and B, more powerful, right? We want to talk about it in 3 different categories, right? So has it from level 1, so right from the get-go, we've got that wave clear, right? We don't have to wait for anything. Has it from levels 4 or 7 onwards, right? So that means you have it during the early game, but you don't have it right from level 1. So it means levels like 1 to 3 or 1 to 6, your team's going to fall behind on waves a bit. And that's okay. And 3 has it later than 7. If it gets wave clear later than 7, it's kind of outside the scope of this discussion, because all I really want to talk about today is early game wave clear. Right, so examples of has it right from level 1, Phoenix, AoE auto attacks go boom, boom, boom. If you proc the Arsenal synergy and you hit the wave with it, massive acceleration on your wave clear speed. Can do it relatively safely, right? He does it at whatever his auto attack range is, 6.5, I believe, in his AoE mode, right? And he has the E to blink out if he needs safety, and he has a shield to take some damage with. Junkrat, another fantastic example. If Junkrat has to step up to do auto attacks in addition to his Q, it's generally okay because he can put a trap wherever he thinks the enemy's going to rotate from, and he can put a W right underneath him so that the second they hit him, he just bounces right out. Right, so pretty safe. Right, a third example, I think Tychus, as I said before, right? Q plus W clears the way perfectly. If you go dash at level 1, you have your E for safety to allow you to get out should they go on you. Yada, 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 right? A few examples of heroes that can clear from level 4. So Sylvanas, big one, right? She has a lot of safety just in general, just in the way she's built. Another one would be Hanzo with his Q talent at level 4. Another one, this one might surprise you a bit, Jaina. Level 5 is when she can clear a wave, in my opinion, independently. Because she doesn't clear a wave with just a Blizzard until level 5. Before that, you have to press W and then either auto-attack all the backline minions or also press E. If Jaina has pressed W and E, she's not a hero until her W comes back up, because she just doesn't have enough damage to do anything reasonable to any enemy heroes that are going to hit her, right? This is part of the benefit of, for example, the Ice Fury wand build, right? It tries to take advantage of that problem and make it into an asset, right? And then we have heroes who get it from level 7 onwards. I think level 7 is the absolute latest you can get your wave clear and still consider it to be early game, and even that's stretching it just a little bit, right? But you generally compensate for it with, again, the aforementioned safety, the ability to clear the wave, grab the globe without dying, or in this case, global value, right? So we're talking about Falstad with the boomerang. Falstad makes up for the fact that his wave clear is kind of shit in the early game, in the very early game, with the fact that he can just fly, right? So it doesn't matter if you have to leave him bot to clear Siege Giants on Cursed Hollow for like a full minute. He's going to be at the fight anyway by the time it starts, 45 seconds later, right? So we want to consider these 3 different categories for independent wave clear. Now for supplementary wave clear, it's a little less distinct in my opinion. It tends to be more of hero A plus hero B clears the wave together, and if you can make enough pairings of hero A plus hero B within your draft, then you are considered to have good wave clear. Right? As long as you can meet that qualification, your wave clear will be good. And remember, our qualification for good, right? And I keep using air quotes because it will depend on, your drafter or your situation or your game mode. If you're going into versus AI, quick match, SL, competitive, semi-pro, amateur, professional, right? Wherever you are, your definition of good may vary, right? So your mileage may vary on this. Keep that in mind. Tailor it to yourself, right? Don't just use my definition. But my definition for competitive, for good wave clear, right, is doesn't expose you for more than 4 to 5 seconds, maybe. And the entire time to rotate in, clear the wave, and mount up and start rotating out, less than 7 or 8 seconds, around about, right? 7 is ideal. 8 is getting a little bit on the late side. 9 is like, oh god, this is taking forever. 10 is, you're probably about to die to a Diablo, right? And I know that sounds very, very nitpicky, as if like 1 second of difference is going to make that much. Games in the competitive level absolutely will come down to those seconds, right? And if you kind of want to see an example of what I'm talking about, the last video uploaded before this one was a Gen G versus Team Liquid breakdown on Infernal Shrines, and I talk extensively there about the power of a second in team fights and rotations on the shrine itself, etc., etc. So supplementary wave clear, really the basic thing to understand is if you can put hero A plus hero B together and they clear the wave, you're fine. Right, so Johanna plus pretty much anything. A Blaze Q plus a Tassadar Q when the wave is in a straight line, right? If they both press Q at the same time, wave insta dies, right? This is good pretty much everywhere except on Tomb of the Spider Queen, because if you kill the gems under their towers, you can't get the gems, right? Esoteric, but worth mentioning. Right, so those are basically the 2 types of wave clear. Again, independent, supplementary, and then what you need to do as a drafter or just as a player is figure out which heroes have independent wave clear that is efficient, so that after you clear the wave, you can then go and do other things with your life. Now, I'll have a very short discussion here about S tier. So S tier is whatever your team or you think is the most powerful independent thing in the game mode that you're playing. S tier is subjective, number 1, but it's also backed up by win rates, number 2, right? So Zagara was recently S tier until she got hit with a nerf bat. Right before her, there was I don't remember, but after her, there was Nazeebo. Nazeebo very recently became S tier in most people's opinion because people think for whatever reason he's overpowered or very, very strong or what have you. Right, so it's important to note a lot of the time independent wave clear and S tier, especially when we're talking about DPSs, will line up together. Right, and the reason behind that is really, really simple. It's just independence means you can do things by yourself, and doing things by yourself is multiplicatively more useful in a solo environment rather than a team-based one. But even in a team-based one, it's still really fucking useful to have that hero that can just clear that wave on the side without needing any babysitting, without needing any support, any assistance, anything like that. They are completely independent. Right, and that is my rant on wave clear. Again, 2 types, independent, supplementary. Figure out which you have. Try to get some independent. If you can't, get a lot of supplementary. I just gave you the middle finger by accident. Have a good day.